Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nelson Mandela once said that education is the most powerful weapon to change the world. I agree in what he said because I was taught and raised that education is the only thing that can break the vicious cycle of poverty. Throughout my high school, I've witnessed some of my friends that actually woke up at 3 a.m. to help their mothers selling kueh muih. Some of my friends actually just got home at 2 a.m. after they actually have just finished selling burgers with their family. It saddened me because I was also once in their shoes when straw hit my father. But then, I hope my research topic could share some new perspective about students' motivation from a low-income household in teaching and learning. So, without further ado, let's delve into my research topic titled and my name is ARNI SHAZWANI binti HUSSAINI from class ED 2413B. So, this study focuses on teachers' real classroom experiences, specifically on how they perceive students' motivation, the challenges faced by the students from low-income households, and the strategies teachers use to actually keep the student feels engaged in learning. Motivation is not an abstract concept here. For students from low-income households, it is deeply connected to their survival, emotional safety, and their lived realities. That is the core concern of this study. Motivation among students from low-income households remains a critical challenge in education. Many of these students struggle not because of their lack ability, but because of socio-economic pressure that actually prevent them from fulfilling even the lower levels of Maslow hierarchy of needs. When basic needs such as financial security, emotional stability, and family survival are not met, academic motivation becomes a secondary item. Students from low-income households are particularly vulnerable to rising living costs, which increases the risk of school dropout and mental health issues. Therefore, this study aims to identify teachers' perception of these motivational factors, explore the challenges teachers observe in the classroom, and examine the strategies that effectively engage lower secondary students from low-income households. So, moving on to the literature review. There are two main theories that guide this study. The first one is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As mentioned in our textbook, this theory explains on how students from low-income families could struggle academically because a lot of them are still stuck in fulfilling physiological and safety need, making it actually difficult for these students to reach higher levels of esteem or self-actualization, which are crucial for learning motivation. The second one is attribution theory by Bernard Weiner. This theory focuses on how students interpret the causes of their success or failure. Students who attribute failure to uncontrollable external factors such as poverty or family pressure are more likely to feel hopeless and demotivated. Together, these two theories actually provide a strong foundation for understanding motivation among low-income household students. So, throughout my literature review, I have found three articles. And the first article, it examines how successful low-income rural students achieve academic success despite of financial constraint. This study used a qualitative multi-site case study involving 5 rural students in Malaysia. And the finding shows that socio-economic problems significantly affect students' motivation and emotion. However, strong parental survival skills, positive attitudes towards education, and consistent support from teachers and peers play a crucial role in promoting academic well-being. And this reinforces the idea that motivation is not solely just an individual trait, but then a product of social and emotional support system. So, we also have another article here focuses on school engagement among adolescents from low-income families living in people's housing project areas in Kuala Lumpur. This quantitative study involves 244 teenagers aged from 11 to 25 years old. And this study highlights that motivation is closely tied to students' emotional environment, not just classroom instruction. So, moving on to methodology, this study employed a quantitative case study approach using semi-structured interview to gain in-depth insight into teachers' perception. There were two teachers as interviewee. The first one is Sir Muhammad Nazareth, who actually has 11 years of teaching experiences, and he currently teaches French at SMK Baru Bintulu when he previously taught English for 5 years. And the second teacher is Sir Emmanuel Rees Anak Jerry, who teaches English at Tatau and has nearly 2 years of teaching experiences. So, the contrast in teaching experience allows for comparative insight across different professional stages. For data collection, the interviews were conducted using a semi-structured interview guide sent via WhatsApp in PDF form. This method was chosen due to internet connectivity issues faced by teachers too who lives in a rural area. The audio of the interview can be accessed through the Google Drive link. The interviews were transcribed verbatim, and thematic analysis was conducted to identify key patterns and themes from the responses. There are three research objectives in this study. First is to identify teachers' perception of factors contributing to low motivation among lower secondary students from low-income households. The second one, to explore the motivational challenges faced by these students as observed by the teachers. And the third one is for us to actually examine the classroom strategies implemented by teachers to motivate students from low-income households. So, moving on to the research question, all of the research questions are aligned with the objectives. This research question focuses on teachers' perceptions of motivational factors, observable motivational challenges, and instructional strategies used in the classroom. The interview questions were designed to prompt reflection on teaching experiences, classroom observations, and adaptive strategies when students show this engagement. So, after this research and the interview, what have I found is few similarities and differences. To begin with, the similarities is strong through both teachers strongly reject passive teaching method, particularly the traditional chalk and talk approach. They believe that this chalk and talk actually leads to boredom, disengagement, and cognitive withdrawal among the students. And both teachers also identify socio-economic barriers as the root cause of low motivation, because financial pressure and family survival consistently undermine the students' ability to focus on academic learning. So, the differences were also clear, in which Sir Nazareth has explained that he relies heavily on inspirational storytelling and scholarly quotes drawing from his extensive teaching experiences, while Sir Noel focuses on contextualized learning, making lesson meaningful and relevant to students' real lives. So, in terms of professional growth, Sir Nazareth observes that motivational patterns remain consistent over time, while Sir Noel highlights that his shift, his shift from judgment to empathy as a newer teacher shares a new perspective on low-income household students' motivation. So, for the main findings, there are three key findings that emerge. The first one is socio-economic survival often takes priority over academic motivation. The second one is students experience psychological fragility, including inferiority complex and fear of being laughed at. And the third one is effective motivation requires a safe learning environment where effort is valued more than accuracy. And to emphasize, fluency is being put first rather than accuracy. So, for future research, we could include longitudinal studies to examine motivational changes over time. And also another direction is exploring 21st century education, particularly the integration of technological pedagogical content knowledge in context of limited infrastructure in rural areas. So, in conclusion, this study highlights that motivating low-income students requires empathy, flexibility, and understanding of their lived realities. Teacher plays a critical role, not just as instructors, but also as emotional anchors in students' academic journeys. Thank you for your time.